All right, Cameron, thank you for joining me today. Before we officially dive in, can you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Sure. So I work at RK Porter General Contracting. We do a wide range of projects, mostly in the commercial world, but we do probably 10 custom homes a year as well. On the commercial side, we do apartment buildings, hotels, heavily in the restaurant industry, and that's kind of our bread and butter type of work that we do. We do Chick-fil-A's, Starbucks's, and some local kind of restaurants and fit ups that are going on locally in our area.
Awesome, thank you. And before you found out about the SYCB program, what were some of the problems that you were having?
Was getting a lot of 911 calls, guys not having or just constant questions and I'd have a plan for my day, and after 8 a.m. I'd have a new plan for my day, just dealing with all the questions that came up that people weren't thinking ahead or people didn't have the information they needed. It was quite chaotic just in general, I'd say.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of firefighting.
Yeah.
And what was that frustration like for you?
Overwhelming a lot. Some days I just didn't want to do it anymore. What I try to do, on a high level is I want people to feel happy coming to work, and I want people to feel like they know what they're doing and they have a good path. And I feel like people didn't have that. People weren't really sure what they were responsible for. So then I ended up kind of filling their gaps of things that I thought they were responsible for, or I felt they should be responsible for, and I ended up having to do a lot of that work. I get phone calls at night from clients. I'd work long hours, wasn't able to, be present with my family as much as I wanted to. And there's a lot of weight on my shoulders, I felt like.
Yeah, that is a lot. And it sounds like there was also a lack of accountability for everyone on your team, knowing exactly what it was that they were accountable for. That
Mhm.
certainly can create some chaos and frustration. So as you went through the SYCB program, was there a specific moment or something that you learned through the program that you were like, wow, I think this is really going to help create or eliminate some of the frustration and chaos that we're dealing with?
Two things kind of stick out with for me. It's the developing and fine-tuning the accountability chart. The accountability chart did two things. It let me assign responsibilities to people, what I thought they should be responsible for, and it also gave kind of a career path of how to get to the next level, from laborer to carpenter to site super to project manager. So that was one that really helped, that I have printed above my desk. And the other one was the nail the handoff session. People didn't really get a chance to come into the office much. Like, they meet on site, they do their work for the day. So having everyone come into the office and kind of walk through the problems that they have, the hurdles they have on site, get that all out in the open, and create some actionable items to, alleviate most of those problems, or at least some of those problems. And the outcome, the output from those meetings was great, but it also just gives the guys a chance to give their side of their job, and feel like they're part of the solution, instead of
Yeah.
just a pawn on the board type thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it seems this tends to be one of those moments through the SYCB program that is really impactful for a lot of clients, and more so, I think, for their team than even the clients who sign up with us, because it, like you said, it allows them a chance to speak up and to share some of the things that they're frustrated about, or to provide solutions and say, hey, this is what I think would ideally work really well. And it just infuses a sense of energy and excitement into your business all the way through. And I'm sure it probably was received really well too when you had a clear career progression in place with the accountability chart. How was that received by your team?
Yeah, good. I mean, we're still working on kind of the details of that, and that's another thing on my plate is fine tuning that. But having people report to one person and they're kind of their mentor, and I try to get them to soak in as much as they can from their site supers or their lead carpenters, getting them into apprenticeship programs. So yeah, it gives people direction, and empowers them to kind of take on more responsibility, and they can picture themselves with the company for 5, 10, 30 years, who knows. So yeah, no, that was great.
That is really great. And as they're taking on more responsibility, that clears your plate a bit more.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing things are a little different for you now. Tell us how life is different now that you've implemented some of these things and are continuing to implement them.
It's not like you just finish the program and you're done. It's kind of defining the roadmap, and now you have to execute. So it's been, I get less calls for sure. We've implemented our pre-construction program, so we're, based on where we are, we don't really start many projects in the winter months. So we have it's actually set up nicely because I have 3 or 4 months to work on projects that are slated for the spring for next year. So we're doing a lot more pre-construction work, more planning, getting all the purchase orders in order, as opposed to just starting projects and issuing POs during the project, handing information to the field guys in piecemeal. And now we hand them a complete package, and you can kind of flag what's missing, or, there's always things that you need to fill in, but giving them more information up front. I've tried to do that on projects that are ongoing, but I think it's really going to be, I'm going to see like kind of the fruits of the labor on the ones that we start in the spring here.
Oh, that's awesome. We're excited to hear how that goes. But it sounds like just off the bat, even in these short few weeks, though there's still more to implement, it's created or reduced a lot of that frustration and chaos for you personally, and probably for everyone on the team.
And sorry, I'll just add, just like the guys, they have a kind of clear roadmap. I do too now. So I can, even though I'm not there yet, I can see the steps that I need to take, and I have the tools to do it. So that takes some of the anxiety and stress away as well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a clear pathway, that's always helpful for everyone, no matter where you sit in the company, to know exactly what you're responsible for and where you're headed. That's really helpful. I think it reduces that frustration and chaos, just that alone. Thank you for all of that, Cameron. Just one last question for you. What was the most impactful or beneficial thing that you learned from the SYCB program?
Probably the leadership portion of it. I do view myself as kind of a natural leader, but it's just implementing some of those tools that I can use for the guys, and getting them to become leaders, and stepping outside of their comfort zone. I found that very empowering for both me and the guys, our site supers, being more of a leader, and getting them to use the tools, and myself just sit back and smile at them using them.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit. I think one of the things that's really cool about that, and I appreciate that you said that you are a natural leader, but far too often I think what can happen is we end up managing people, and we're still owning so much of that. But with many of these leadership system tools in place, like you said, it shifts the mindset, and it empowers our team to be the leaders over their own job and what it is that they're responsible for. And so you, like you said, you kind of get to sit back and just see how it all plays out, which is really great. So once again, that frees up more of your time and creates a much smoother system and process for everyone. Thank you for sharing this, Cameron. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
No, there's tons of good information in the course, and each little piece takes time to put into your business, and like I said initially, I think halfway through the course I was getting a bit overwhelmed with how much information there is, but once I kind of realized that, hey, I'm not gonna have a final document for all these things after this course is done. It's you're constantly refining it and constantly fine-tuning it, constantly changing your organizational structure. Well, not constantly changing, but yearly updating everything, and solving problems as they come up, dealing with your bigger problems, and then getting into the smaller stuff. So I'm excited for where I'll be in 2-3 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that you said that, because it is a lot of information coming at you fast. And the intent is not that it will be completely in place by the end of the actual program, but that you'll have all the tools necessary to continue to implement and continue to refine, to your point. And that is part of a business. We have to constantly be reinventing ourselves and looking at things, on an annual basis or regularly to make those refinements. So happy to hear that you've had this experience with us, Cameron. We were so happy to have you join the program as well, and to see these successes and continue to see more coming up. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.